tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey guys,
yeah.
Welcome into another Secrets and Wives after show right here on AFTERBuzzTV.com. We are talking Look Who's Mantuaking 2.
We're Mantuaking.
Are we really?
Are we?
Well, we're talking.
That is Phil Svitek. Next to him, April Whisenhant.
Hi.
Nicole Brasher is out tonight. She'll be back next week. I am Bobby DeMuro with you guys every week. Ladies and gentlemen, hello.
Hi.
Thoughts? Real quick. Got a lot to talk about today, a lot to do before we jump into it. But real quick initial thoughts on this episode. What do you guys think?
Overall, a good episode. Apparently, we're halfway through the season, so I thought, great. I'm glad we resolved the Susan and Liza bit a little bit, and by the end, certainly. And overall, a good episode, and not a lot of Jonathan. Little bits of Max.
We're going to talk about the lack of Jonathan, our guy.
I missed my boy Jonathan.
Your boy. No.
Oh, he's
our
mine.
boy.
Okay, I'll settle for that. I liked the less drama, more like funny side of them, which they're funny all the time anyway. They were really funny last week too, but I liked seeing the more playful side and, you know, the chomping talk and that sort of thing.
I'm 100% with you.
P.S. According to Twitter, Jonathan is coming to L.A.
Is that true?
Please?
Well, no, right?
We want him to.
Yeah.
You've been having Twitter conversations.
Well, now
with
that it's out there, he's definitely coming.
We want him to. The ladies, whatever. Jonathan, dude, we got to get this guy. I want him sitting right there on that couch with a beverage in hand, perhaps adult. And I want to, really talk about some stuff with him. I think is that too much to ask?
No.
Okay, thank you. We got a lot to do today with you guys, a lot to talk about. Before we jump into it, if you haven't already, hit subscribe on YouTube and iTunes. Follow AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV on literally every social network that has ever existed. Probably not MySpace, but everything else, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you guys know the drill. And another thing, we've got a survey for you guys on podcast1.com. I know we talked about this last week. If you haven't already, or if you watch a lot of other AfterBuzz shows too, you can review us there. Go to podcast1.com. It's literally going to take like 3 minutes. You can tell us what you think about us. You can be honest about us. I think people hopefully kind of like us, but whatever you want to say, we take that feedback and we use it. We really value it. So if you guys have something to say, now's the time. Podcast1.com. Okay, guys. This was a big episode for a lot of reasons. I want to start with Susan and Liza real quickly because they took a little journey back to a better relationship than they had last week. Everything resolved? Mm-hmm. Or is there still beef?
I think there's probably still a little beef. I think that they respect each other as friends, but tonight we saw Susan kind of have a lot of bit of foot and mouth disease, at least in my opinion, because some of the stuff she said, we said it whenever we were watching, she just takes it a little too far.
She needs a better bedside manner.
Yes. So some of the stuff sounded a little insensitive and like she couldn't put herself in Liza's shoes, even if maybe Liza is being a little kind of overly sensitive at the same time. But I think that they're agreeing to disagree, but I don't think it's going to be quite as simple as just like, oh, okay, well, it's over. They're both still going to have their kind of like secret behind closed doors opinions about it.
Here's the thing. Glenn and Pat, and I forget which ones, I think it was Pat more specifically, he talked to Liza, right? And he said like, hey, no matter where you go, you're going to be successful. So there's a way to tap and reach any of these women. You just got to know how to do it, right? So if your ultimate goal is to help Liza, you got to really get down to her level and say it's okay. But you can't just be like, hey, you don't work, you ruin your marriage, and it's really not a big deal that you're moving from a big house to a small house. Like, okay, like it comes off confrontational.
Yeah.
So there's, again, the word is Today we learned about the North Shore dinner. Yes. Last week we learned about the North Shore handshake. Susan and everybody else, I'm teaching you about a bedside manner.
Look, Dr. Phil over here.
I love the way that Susan is, because I'm biased with Jonathan, but I like Susan too. So she's my favorite, and we've talked about that a lot, and I'm on the record multiple weeks saying that. But there is a time when you can be too real, too true. There's one thing to tell the truth, and there's one thing to get to the point with people. It's another thing entirely to get to the point in a cutting manner. And I'm all for Susan talking, verbal diarrhea, what she said. I'm good with that. I know people like that. I probably do that more than I'd care to admit. But I'm really, really glad that she noticed it today and that she was the bigger person, because Liza, for ganging up on her with Andi and stuff, Liza's not 100% innocent here. But Susan was kind of the catalyst to a lot of this stuff. She's the one insecure about, oh, I'm working, I work, I have a full-time job, you should go to work, you don't know what I do. Like, we get it, She finally owns up to it, she finally gets it, and that tells me that Susan is even more real than I thought she was before.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be real, to say what you think and say whatever you want to say. It's another thing to be real, to own your own shit. And if you own your own shit, hat tip Susan, right? That's growth to me.
Absolutely. It made me respect her a lot more, because just even in the moment, you could tell something kind of switched in her mind, that she realized, oh, I'm kind of really hurting this person's feelings, and I'm not thinking about what it's like for her to go through a divorce, because even though she's been through one, that doesn't mean she knows what it's like for Liza. And just like I said last week, every person is different. Every situation, yes, everyone's always going to have a worse situation, but it's still what you're going through, and everyone's different. So I'm glad that she respected that.
She did. The dire really came at that kind of point when she said, like, I just thought everyone was as strong as me. It's like, ooh, yeah, no, you shouldn't say that. You were going so well until that.
And it's not even it's the way she says it. I think we can debate what she meant. I interpreted that to mean one thing, but the way it comes across as you're throwing shade at these other women. Right. When I think she's trying to say, I've been through a lot, I know the path to get through this stuff. I think these women are as strong as I am, and I want them to prove it. That's a different thing to say than, oh, you should be as strong as me, which is completely insensitive.
Right.
But that's South Shore Susan. That's what we love about her.
Very true.
Or what I love about her.
One aspect.
But I love her more though now.
Yeah. She's more real now to me. She's been the realest one, but the fact that she took and owned up to her own mistake and was like, I don't want to fight. This is what I'm doing wrong. This is how I came across. I'm sure this beef isn't squashed. These women have known each other for years. This has been going on some level with different stories for years. It's not the house. It's not about the house. It's never about the house. It's about the relationship between the women. So the next thing's going to come along in 2 weeks. It's going to be something else. But at least for now, it's squashed, and Susan learned something about herself. Did Liza learn anything about herself? Because that last scene, the I'm not a chomper scene, we can talk about all that language, but that last scene, she goes right back with Andi, ganging up on Susan. It was like, Montauk all over again.
Yeah. Well, I think in the scene where we see Susan kind of admit her wrongdoing, Liza kind of also goes the same route, and she says, let's be real, I don't like to work, or that's not really me. And I think it's more so she's kind of, being herself instead of trying to defend herself and say, like, oh, no, I can do this. Because she doesn't want to do that if that's on her. I mean, whether we think or anyone thinks that's right or wrong, that's still her. So at least she can kind of, like, cop up to what she may or may not really want to do. Even though I don't think she knows what she wants to do right now, because she's in a totally different situation than she's ever been before. But at least she's not being, like... she's showing a little bit of weakness, which is, I think, endearing to see.
And it's endearing not only that, because she's being real about that too. I don't like to work. Working's not me.
Right.
You know what? We can make fun of that. We do make fun of people like that. That's half the reason you watch shows like this, to make fun of these women with these, hashtag first world problems. But if you're going to be real about it, if you're going to be tongue in cheek about it, if you're in on the joke a little bit, we can make fun of you without being mean to you.
Exactly.
Because Liza's in on the joke, and she says, oh, well, I don't like to work. And we're like, okay, good. We can make fun of you, but we respect you enough for understanding that you don't like to work.
Exactly.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
We can also make fun of her for being sad about looking at $4.4 million houses.
Self-actualization. These women are a step away from enlightenment.
Oh, we only saw 2 houses. I want to see a couple more. And it just seemed like each one the price tag got better. The second one house, I don't know. I didn't like as much. Obviously,
I like the second one more.
Yeah, but the toilets.
Everything's replaceable.
First floor master. You got to think about growing old. You don't want to go upstairs. That first house was the one.
See, I think I would want one on the second floor just to challenge myself.
Yeah, until you're like 65 and you're like, wait
65?
a second. Okay, 70,
still, like,
I don't know. 75, 80? I'm just throwing numbers out. You have 4 decades to worry about that. Or 5.
I guess. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, man.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Here's the thing. Like, if that's a smaller house, how big is this house? The original house.
Her house is huge.
Is it 6? Why did I think it was like a $6 million home? Maybe I'm making that up.
I don't know. We need some numbers.
I don't know a number, but just the foyer area is insane, and you can definitely tell it's a lot bigger than the other houses, I think. But those were still very, very big, and she has to think about.
Here's the thing. Okay, but you know. Liza, I love you in all these things, and I agree with Pat and Glenn in the sense that you will be successful no matter where you go. I thought you were moving from a $X million home to a $500,000 home, not from a $10 million to a $5 million.
Yeah.
I think you will live. Baby. No, like I get it. It's a change, and you dislike change, but you know what? See change not as wrong, but just as an opportunity.
Right. Well, I think it'll get easier for her. I mean, I don't know necessarily what situation she is current day with the home, but I think it'll probably be easier for her once her daughters are going to college. She keeps talking about how tough of a transition that's going to be, but I know my mom, she moved and she greatly appreciated having something smaller because you don't want this big, huge house if it's just you there most of the time. Even if your kids come home a lot from college, which hopefully they will, you still don't, that kind of space can make a person feel even more alone, which she has Andi there for right now, but I don't know. I think she will appreciate it more once her kids go off to college.
You took the words out of my mouth. How many, we've seen our parents do it or friends' parents do it. Kids get out of the nest. You want to downsize anyways. Downsizing in Liza's neighborhood is a little bit different than downsizing in, a normal neighborhood. Let's be honest. But it's that same thing. Even if she were still married, even if she hadn't cheated, divorced, all that stuff, she probably would have downsized anyways. Her and her husband would have said, what?
Too big.
Yeah, this is too much for us. We don't want to pay for the cleaning service and all this stuff and blah,
and that's
blah, blah.
the biggest thing. Get a decent sized house with a big yard. Because the cleaning alone, I don't want a big house.
That's true.
I hate it.
I think it's probably
Liza, save yourself the cleaning or the cleaning service fees.
I was about to say, I don't think she cleans. Well, maybe she cleans a little. But I think it's probably tougher for her because as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, but she's doing it by herself. She's not doing it with a husband or with a partner or whatever. So I'm sure that makes it even tougher. So it's just, I think it's all in her mind. It's just the memories, and this is like giving up something to a certain extent. But yeah, she may be downsizing, but she's going to get something amazing as well. Well, hopefully.
We hope so. Look, amazing to her, and I'm not throwing shade at her for this, but amazing to her is not amazing for what, maybe a lot of people think this, but amazing to her is a man. She wants to have a man, for better or worse, and there are benefits to that, and I don't just mean, financial. I mean, they're emotional and psychological and having a friend and a partner and the well-being that comes with it. But that is amazing to her, and you just worry that, is she going to get taken advantage of? Is she going to get in a situation where this guy's rich, he's got all the check marks that I want, and it's good enough, and I'm going to settle because I need this, because I want this.
I hope not, because she seems like such a fun and good person. So I hope she really finds someone who likes her for her, and it's not just because, oh, this is easy and we are at this point in our lives. So I don't know. I think too many people do that. So hopefully she won't.
Remember, she would rather have 10 penises in every hole. It's on her list to get
slapped. That's Andi.
Well, okay, it's both of them. It's on her list to get slapped by penises.
Yes.
That was
not on y'all's list. Okay.
Yeah. That's not on my list. That is not on my list.
Why isn't it on your list?
That is for so many reasons that we should not get into.
I just want to know, which list? Is there a sex list that she has? Is this part of her bucket list?
Her bucket list.
It's number 1, go to Greece. Number 2, slap by penises. I don't know. Can we see
if
this
you go
list?
to Greece, you might have those two things at the same time.
Touche.
But I feel like if that were on her list, the slap by penises, have you been to a bachelorette party? The kind of bachelorette parties that these women probably go to. If they had that party for the plastic surgery we saw in episode 1, if they have parties like that, can you imagine the bachelorette parties?
That is a great idea for season 2 finale or something like that. Or somebody's gonna be getting married next season.
What, slapping of
the Secrets and Wives season 2 finale on Playboy or Hustler TV.
Oh, they'll show that on Bravo.
That is incredible. Last thoughts on Liza and Susan. Anything else of note? One thing, we got to talk about it. Where the hell is Jonathan? Unacceptable.
I know.
I love the show.
He was there in spirit.
But I need Jonathan. I need my Jonathan. I waited all
Here's
week.
the thing. This is kind of, you know, we saw the little tease from next week, and based off of that alone, I see why Susan has a little bit of diarrhea of the mouth, because Jonathan kind of has diarrhea of the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And together, they just escalate it to such a level. I mean, we've seen
But
it in
it's so
episodes
good.
past of them just talking about random sex stuff at a dinner table, and you know they got a little bit loud. I'm surprised more people at this dinner didn't pick up on that of them talking about slapping penises and taking 10 penises and one in each hole. How many holes? One,
10 holes.
two.
I don't
Are
know.
you
She
counting
said 10.
ears, nose,
Yeah,
ears, nose, mouth?
Oh, that's more than 10 then. I
Two
guess.
down
2,
there.
4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7.
Oh gosh, this officially just got weird.
Were you here last week? We were talking about blowjobs last week. That's 7. Maybe you count your hands as like 8 and 9. They're like you hold them. I don't know if I can show
Belly
them.
And then your
button?
feet.
Belly button? Does that
Belly
count?
button. That's perfect.
That's a
There,
hole.
10.
Done.
All right,
And
10.
if you put your feet together, that's 11.
Well, we got Andy at 11, not 10.
Well, that's what you can count on here at AfterBuzz. That was wonderful.
Getting to
Yes,
the truth.
we love to teach people things.
Hey, listen, no, seriously, I need Jonathan. I know you got to go to Max. We'll talk about him in a second. You got to go to other people every week and spread it around. But Jonathan is the breakout star of the show. All I want is every episode about Jonathan and him sitting on that couch right there.
I want that too, but I like seeing the other guys too tonight.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
I really did.
Before we jump into those guys, real quick for you guys at home, I have a little question for you too as well.
What's that?
Does driving matter to you? Well, there are over 4 million miles of road in the U.S. to find out.
That's a lot of ground to cover.
It is a lot of highways, a lot of freeways, wrong ways, and long ways, and they are all there waiting to be driven on. So, do you take that left turn at Albuquerque, or do you just keep going? Do you wake up early Sunday morning for a drive before the traffic does? Or do you take the long, winding road home for a change? If driving matters to you, just get out and drive.
Why?
Well, because driving matters. Mazda.
Yes, it does.
You know what? If you're these women, you might not get up before traffic on a Sunday morning.
Absolutely
But
not.
you'll get
Susan
around
does.
in the afternoon and go
Susan
for a
does.
drive.
But driving matters to them, and we saw it going and coming from Montauk 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I don't think they're getting up. I don't think they're going to Albuquerque either. They're staying on Long Island. That's the thing about the show. They're very insulated. And part of it is like, hey, you got to get out of there. I can't imagine Liza moving to the city like they mentioned. But part of it is, hey, the incest potential here, not literal incest, but just the community incest potential's through the roof.
But I
But
mean,
here's the
with
thing.
Liza
I feel
and
like they own
Amy,
their. They need to explore. They need their own journey. I feel this is a good message for them.
Well, you bring it up with them. I'll talk to Jonathan about it. We'll see what happens.
I think
Road trip.
we saw the worst of the incest tonight with Liza and Amy, and the ring that they apparently shared.
But you know what? I love that they're cool about that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that they bitch about the present day stuff, like the Susan and Liza about the house, about possessions, the new stuff that doesn't matter. But the stuff that should matter,
Yeah.
the engagement and the husband in the same ring,
They're like, oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
It's just like, okay.
That killed me when she's like, were there rolling baguettes
Baguettes.
on the side? She's like, no. Oh my god, that was
These
insane.
people, like,
I don't know if I give credit to the guy, but it's incredible that he has
Credit to the guy?
No,
no,
only
the
because,
Stones, man. The Stones to do this.
Yeah,
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the,
Oh, yes,
the fact that he would
absolutely.
like, hey, I'm not gonna get. I don't have money for and 3-carat ring, so I'm gonna. It didn't work out the first time. I'm gonna recycle this. I'm gonna use the same lines, and see if I can get better results this time.
But how did they not notice back then? I mean, maybe they weren't as good of friends whenever Amy was
Well, it
married
didn't
to
work out
Mark.
the first
but-
time, right?
Yeah.
No. I mean, whenever Amy was married to Mark, and Liza was engaged to him, maybe they were
so
friends
she would have
then.
seen the ring.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
you would know if that's your ring or not. So maybe they must not have been that great of friends back then. But
Maybe, listen, the realm that they come from, I don't know. Maybe they swapped out the engagement ring upon the marriage and said you get a brand new wedding ring, the whole band.
I guess
We got
that's
the money to
possible.
blow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking, and I wish Nicole was here to talk about this, but I've been thinking about this for 3 weeks now. I think I'm ready to date a North Shore woman.
You think so?
My age, not one of these women. They're probably my age too, mid-20s. Come on, ladies. But I think I can handle it. I'm learning so much in 3 weeks. I've had a crash course, and I feel like if I had somebody like Jonathan to counsel me, boom.
all right, we got to get him here so we can counsel you.
You can't make the same mistakes. Though,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I would know a little bit better how to deal with them. When I would open my spa, for example, I'd only be an investor. I'm not going to come in and screw around with the spa.
Maybe you can work with Dr. G.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Where do you, I mean, I don't even know. Are we talking about Dr. G? Are we talking about...
I want to talk about the spa first. That's why I mentioned the spa.
All right, let's talk about the worst
Cori
staff meeting ever.
Well, both of them. Dr. G's was bad too, but we'll get to them in a minute.
That wasn't as bad as this one.
Cori and Sandy's staff meeting was terrible. That poor Alexis, that woman is doing God's work.
She is not very happy with them, or doesn't seem to be very happy with them anyway.
Getting paid.
The stuff that they talk about is not staff meeting material.
It's like,
hey guys, first off, congratulations. Last month we had the highest numbers. Kudos to that. We've identified the things that we did well. Here's stuff we can improve upon. And you know what? Here's the inventory we're looking at. Can you make sure that, when we get down to the last 3 boxes, we make sure to reorder? Like, that's a staff meeting. Mm-hmm. Not, are we, when are we going to break even? Does anybody know this? You're in charge of the books. You should know this.
I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was thinking about losing all my money or whatever Cori said.
Yeah, thinking about going broke.
On your staff members who are making, what, $13 an hour, you don't put this on them to be like, oh my God, we gotta cover the month. Like, Cori's going to go broke. That's not your responsibility. You're an hourly employee that is above your pay grade. Don't bring it to your meeting. And Sandy, I'm sorry, excuse my language, stay the fuck out. You're an investor.
But he's the owner.
Investor.
See, I kind of like Sandy getting in there. I don't like him getting in there and like bugging how he does.
What does he bring to the table?
I like that he's involved because it shows that obviously he has to care since that's his job at this point, but he does it in the wrong way. He overmanages. So these decisions that have already been made by, I guess Alexis is the manager. I'm not sure what she is, or a partner. So these decisions have already been made, and then he goes through. I know, like when a guy, and it's not just like a guy girl thing, but when my boss is like, oh, April, did you do this, and this, and I'm like, yes, of course I already did this. Of course I already did this. It's bothersome in that sort of way. So I like him being involved. I just think he's involved in the wrong aspect.
But by the way, the example you gave, that's just someone checking in, or at least that, on the surface of what you said, that's just someone checking in.
But that's what he's doing. He's saying, do we have this? Make sure to get this.
No, he's not. He's going beyond that. He's telling them, don't do,
he's contradicting Alexis is what it comes down to.
Like, you just made a beautiful display case of anal cream, which apparently is very important to him,
anal relaxant.
All right? And then he comes in like, that needs to just totally be, I don't see what you guys did here. And it's like, whoa, we talked about this, we executed, like, there's a reason behind it. It's not like they're doing bad work. Right.
So basically he doesn't, if it's not like how he wants it, then he has a problem with it.
And the problem is, I get it, he's putting money into this, and so you get upset if it's not quote unquote making money back. But it's like, okay, you either let me give her benchmarks, right? You don't have to be like, okay, in 6 months, in 6 months, if you don't make X amount of money, then you're fired, and that could be a way to do it. But it's like, okay, we're gonna have, I'm gonna give you overall benchmarks. Every 2 weeks, here's what I need, in terms of growth, and if you can deliver these things, I'm gonna step off.
And we need to look at what Sandy's strengths are. Sandy's strengths appear to be financial. The investor thing, the mercantile exchange that he worked at for 3 decades or whatever, those are his strengths. He is not in the demographic for a spa. I'm sure they have some male clients. It's mostly women. Cori knows this space.
Bean counter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cori knows this space. Alexis knows this space. Let them do their strengths. You come in when it's money. If it's benchmarks, it's benchmarks. But let the girls do their strengths, because this is their wheelhouse. This is what they do, and trust that they're going to do it. And if you can't trust that they're going to do it, this is the wrong job and the wrong investment for you anyways, and you shouldn't do it with your wife if you can't trust that she's going to do it. Well, have faith in your wife.
Nothing against Sandy, though, but what else would he do during the day?
Play golf.
I guess.
God, listen, man, I'll go play golf with him every day.
Figure out marketing. Like, there's ways to be involved in the business without. Okay, you need a certain. Okay, so they're in charge of the day-to-day operations side of it. Okay, what do you? You kept talking about foot traffic and traffic patterns and blah blah.
Yeah.
So
patterns.
figure out. Okay, what does that mean on a larger scale? How are you going to attract new customers? Okay, they're doing their part in the actual place. Now just drive stuff. Create initiatives. Okay, maybe you have a big 4th of July sale. This is the stuff that you think of. Right. But it's not a staff meeting. That's an executive staff meeting.
Right.
And look, if you're Sandy, then you can take and say, okay, the marketing, maybe you start studying franchises. They're a long ways from doing that, but what does that process look like? Because you've been in the mercantile exchange, you don't know retail. You just need to start studying the business side of it. Let them study the retail side of it. Let them know the products. You don't know a damn thing about makeup. Well, I've seen it. It looks good. Yeah, we've all seen it. I don't know what does what on your face. I'm like, oh, it's makeup. It goes
You just
somewhere.
know there's something there.
Yeah, there's something there. Like, oh, it looks nice. I have no idea the difference between mascara, concealer, eyeliner.
You know mascara and concealer.
Is mascara your cheeks?
No, that's blush. Oh gosh.
Which one is
I'm gonna have
mascara?
to give you a
Is it your
eyelashes.
foundation?
This is mascara.
Wait, what goes on your
eyeshadow.
eyelid? Eyeshadow.
Yes.
Okay.
Eyeliner goes on the rim. Blush, powder.
What's the rim?
Like where you are right. Well, I don't have any on, but
gotcha.
Around there. It's when you want to feel fancy.
Okay, maybe I couldn't date
I'll teach you how to do the smoky eye.
Eyeliner.
It's a really...
You know how to do a smoky eye?
Hell yeah, I know how to do a
Nice.
smoky eye.
No, you don't know what a smoky eye is.
No, I'm worried about him.
I know how to do a smoky eye.
All right, next week. You teach us your smoky
Listen,
eye.
my question every time, and I'll always come back to it, especially in cases like Sandy and Dr. G, WWJD. What would Jonathan do? And do you know what Jonathan would do if he were an investor in Truth and Beauty? He'd sit at home, have a cheeseburger, wait at the end of the night for the blowjob, and go to bed. He's not going to be in the spa. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
I am not wrong. He's
No.
not going to be in the spa every day. He's going to be chilling, watching football, or doing whatever
To be fair,
does.
he would say how his work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. He's a good guy. I'm not saying he's a bad dude, but he has his own priorities. That's what Sandy should have too. And if you want to know where your money goes and you want to get walked through it, I think that's the other thing, the last point on this, maybe unless you guys have something else. If you're going to be the micromanager and you're going to involve yourself where you shouldn't, you better learn everything about makeup and anal cream and spa things and everything about it. If you're going to do it, you better be an expert on it. Because if you're
Exactly.
not...
Speaking of, he should have been at the... whatever it was, the IV infusion. This was so weird.
That was weird.
He should have gone instead of Susan because it was his money.
What the... I mean, I love...
No shade to Susan, but come on.
Well, I just don't understand. I mean, I guess this is apparently a thing. I had never heard of this before until tonight. But so people will go and get themselves hooked up to an IV and filled with vitamins,
Apparently.
vitamin infused.
And you
things.
can't drink during it because that counteracts it.
Right. 'Cause that
I would
dehydrates
still-
you.
No, you
give me a
can't
beer.
drink alcohol. You can drink water.
You drink cucumber water.
But she meant alcohol. Wait, what was the other thing she asked for? She's like, can you
make it hornier?
Oh yeah, can you something that makes me horny? The doctor so seriously answered. I love that. He's like, well, there's nothing on the market for that right now.
Well, I mean, hey, listen, I'm glad we know.
To be fair, even though it counteracts it, like, you know, I feel like you should have a late night option. So, like, you know, you and your girlfriends go out drinking, and it's like, oh, I don't want to be
Let's stop by
hungover the
Truth
next
and
day.
Beauty and get vitamins.
So you just said, okay, so when
Right next door, we have a Carl Jr. or something like that, whatever.
and the guys go to the cheeseburger place
Well,
and the girls
yeah,
go...
you know the
No,
women,
you
know the
bring
women are
the
going to
Carl's
eat too.
Jr. to the Truth and Beauty while they're getting infused with vitamins.
I love
That's
it.
how it works.
I love it.
Y'all, should we invest? Maybe.
I'm almost in tears on that idea of people drunk, leaving the club, leaving the bar, being like, you know what I want right now? A facial. Not
Especially,
the...
I don't want to be hungover, so I need an IV filling.
That's
of
an actual
nutrients.
thing. Yeah.
And if you're listen, they talked about at the start of the episode, they're not partying like it's 1999 anymore. They feel like they're 99. If you feel that bad after drinking some tequila, you get the IV. You wake up at 8 a.m. the next day. You go to the boot camp, which, by the way, was a shit show in and of itself.
I think we just created an advertisement. Oh yeah, the boot camp was terrible.
Do you think the guys are drawing straws to see who has to do what girly activity every episode? And so last week, Dr. G had to sit at the table during dinner because he got the short straw.
Right.
This week, Sandy got the short straw and he had to go to the boot camp. Next week, it looks like it's Jonathan's week and he's got to sit out and watch the girls drink and fight and stuff and get involved. I think the dudes are drawing straws.
Well, I don't know. I get like why Dr. G was there because Gail basically forced him to be there.
Which
But
we gotta
I
talk about
still
in a
don't
minute.
get why Sandy was. Other than Cori, wants him to work out with her. But like, I just would never want just my husband to be with all. I mean, I would be comfortable with it, but I'm not going to be like, oh hey babe, like come work out with me and all of my friends and ruin
I'd
the
be
fun.
there.
I listen. No, I would watch Cori work out. She's hot.
Yeah, good point.
I'd be like,
I'm
keep it
just
up,
saying.
girls.
She's hot.
No, he
They're
was
all kinda
running
hot.
with him. He was.
Yeah, he was.
He was
well,
in the boot camp class
for a minute.
Yeah, and then he sat down.
He wasn't doing any like step ups or box jumps. He just ran the sprint and sat down. Okay, let's talk about Dr. G. and Gail. The other interesting staff meeting.
Let's start with the staff meeting, and before we move on to their meeting.
Yes.
It's world's second worst staff meeting.
Well, because this connects to the Gail bigger idea. And the bigger idea is this. They both cheated with each other, Dr. G and Gail.
I did not know
on
that.
other people. I didn't know it either. Red flags going off in my head. The top of my head literally exploded off. Like, that's... Whew.
But that's why she's so, I mean, obviously he's a plastic surgeon, so I get like stuff kind of, you know, a certain look goes with the territory, which all of his staff members were, you know, they're all very pretty. And so is Gail herself too. But I think like trying to put them in, I mean, that's school. Like you don't go to work and expect to have like, oh, you wear a blazer
if you
whatever.
want to legitimately have a uniform, and even if deep down your motive is that, there's a way to do it. Like, hey guys, presentation wise, we want to do something different with the business. We want to create this more than just a brand, and you guys have obviously been dressing not wrong in any certain way, but if you notice, Dr. G, my husband, he's always in his little the surgeon outfit, and we feel we want to create a more professional atmosphere in that way, that when you come here, what we do is surgery. So, yes, we're going to have uniforms. It's going to reflect kind of that idea, that core idea that, that this is what we do.
I'd be like, it's such BS. That would be my first response, though.
So just like the girls.
But because I think it's so transparent. I get there's definitely a way to present it better, no matter what, better than the way that they did, of course. But I just think it's kind of silly to be like, it's not, I mean, because ultimately it's not going to matter if, she puts a jacket on that girl's huge boobs. Like, she's still going to look good. So I don't know. She's there all the time. So I'm not sure necessarily why she maybe feels the way she does, I guess.
I think I could understand this better if we knew how they started cheating, how they got together. Was she a patient? That would say a lot more. If she were a patient, then she's doubly concerned, not only because, if they cheat with you, they're going to cheat on you, but she knows the process.
Yeah, she knows the process. It's the same process as the double ring scenario. It's like, it worked once before, let me see if it works on... No, it's true. If you know something works as a guy, you're like, yeah, I'm going for it.
I guess. But I like their relationship
Don't ever get married.
together.
It's not worth it.
Apparently not.
It's not worth it.
Single forever.
Dudes are dogs, man.
Dudes
Except for
dogs.
Jonathan. Find a Jonathan. Great guy. Goes to prison for sure.
All right,
but
I'm
other
down
than
with
that,
So just find a prison guy.
An ex-con.
I'm
yeah.
okay with that. Okay.
Wow.
No. But I liked Gail and Dr. G tonight. I liked their kind of like different, quirky, flirty
They're
together.
cute. Yeah, they're cute. For sure.
So they kind of fit.
And it was good to see Gail. No offense to Gail. She follows me on Twitter. Shout out to Gail Greenberg. They all do. They're all great on Twitter. They really are. No offense to Gail, but she has come across in the first couple episodes as a super tightwad, literally and figuratively, tits on a stick, right? But also just really type A, really put together, really always kind of has the poker face on, really always doing the best thing and the right thing. And what does the scene look like? She was the one tonight who said, whatever she said, you got to keep it tight. Let me look up the quote. I think I've got the whole thing. You got to keep it tight. Where are we? Everybody's hung over. Always another woman in the background. Remember that?
Yeah.
Talking about how if you don't look good, there's always somebody else waiting. That's the Gail that's a significant part of Gail. It's also the part of Gail I disliked the most. So seeing her tonight with Dr. G, even just working out, I was like, oh, she's real. She's cute. They have a cute relationship. Dr. G works all the time. She's kind of type A, tightwad, but there's like cuteness there. She humanized herself in the same way that Susan did by apologizing. I'm like, oh, Gail exposition, character exposition. Here I'm
gonna break it down just in all. So here's what I love about Gail.
Yeah,
she's very much. She brought food to Dr. G and things like. He's got to be more appreciative of that stuff, right? First and foremost, I think, because that goes a long way. I mean, for lack of a better, she really is his life secretary.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
And she recognized that he's the breadwinner. He does all that. So I call it the 6-to-1 ratio. Dr. G gets 6 days, but on the 7th, it's Susan. It's Gail's day. Right? And so as Dr. G, you got to just cop to that.
I do that on half days. Wednesday nights and Friday nights are hers. That's why I couldn't date a Long Island girl, because I actually have a girlfriend. But if I didn't, these Long Island girls, hey, come on. No, Wednesday nights and Friday nights are hers. Everything else, so even if we're watching TV on like a Tuesday or something, if I got to get work done, I can get work done, I can do whatever, and it's understood. But as long as you carve it out, I like the 6-to-1 rule, or even the couple hours a day, if they go to the gym together, if they do stuff together, you don't have to like sit across the table from each other and have the deepest conversation every day. You just got to spend time even doing something dumb. You know, go play mini golf. Who cares? As long as you're doing something together.
Or like they did today, when, just like you said, she brought him lunch. Even though that's a very that's a small amount of time, it's still, you know, he's got to eat, she's going to eat. So I think I like her effort of, you know, taking him lunch, whether he likes it or not. The salad and everything.
You just got to like it. I mean, Dr. G, just like, I mean, it's salad. I get it. But you know what? She's trying to keep you healthy. She's doing a good thing. The last thing you need to do is throw it in her face.
Right.
And you know, you're not 16 anymore. You're 50, 60, whatever. You know, you got to eat like an adult every now and then, right?
Yeah.
Dr. G, this is for Dr. G. Gail's immaculate with the eating. She knows what she's doing.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, I imagine if he was like a different type of doctor, and then he perhaps he would care about his health a little bit more. But he's probably just like, well, I'll just operate on myself and just cut out whatever I gotta do.
Whatever. He's not in that bad of shape.
No, he's
I mean,
not.
We saw him at the gym.
Not.
Like, he's not.
But you still gotta stay healthy. Like,
yeah.
You know, there's not a bad thing that she's trying to keep you healthy.
Yeah.
True.
I agree. I really thought Gail came out tonight, showed herself ourselves the more human side. I'm still not a Gail fan. I hate to say it. I don't mean it because I hate her. I just think she's the one I like the least. It's between her and Andi for me. That doesn't mean they're bad. I don't dislike them. I just, on my scale of 1 to 6, they're like 5 and 6. But I think Gail jumped a slot in the Bobby Secrets and Wives power rankings from 6 to 5 because she humanized herself. And I looked at her and I said, okay, you know what? She's vulnerable, she's caring, she's sweet. She's not just like the put together perfect woman that everything perfect happens to. We need to see that.
See, I really like Andi. I don't know. I just like her personality. I think she has like a,
the free
I like
spirit.
her, relationship with Liza and everything. Gail, to me, it's not that I dislike her. I just feel like I know nothing about her besides her work with Dr. G and their kind of relationship. Like, I want to see her, what she's like with her friends and when they're hanging. That's obviously a huge part of the show, is how the women interact with one another. And we just don't see that very much from her. So that's what I want to see, is a little more. Even whenever she was at lunch with Corey and Sandy, it was still just kind of the talk about Dr. G. I just want to see a little bit more of her. So it's not that I dislike her. I just don't know much. I feel like I don't know much about her still.
You know where we could see all of their personalities?
Where's that?
They should submit to a new show or a new special on ABC called Dance Battle America.
They should.
They should literally
Gail would kill
hashtag like Secrets and Wives on this ABC special. It was started by Julianne Hough from Dancing with the Stars and our own AfterBuzz founder and e-host Maria Menounos. You know, what started off as like a social media movement where they did dance battle videos, you know, and by the way, all very silly, all in good fun. It's not like you have to be a professional dancer like Julianne. And they did this, and now it's a show. It's a thing on ABC, and so people have a chance to really kind of be on national television. All you got to do is go to dancebattleamericacasting.com. I feel like they should submit, and that's where we could see Gail.
I love it. Dance Battle America.
Gail and Dr. G together.
And you know what?
Make it happen.
The Secrets and Wives cast, very good on social media. Hashtag Dance Battle ABC. That's all you got to do, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, I like it. We're doing it over here too. Well, some of us are.
This Friday I'm shooting my video. I am.
Oh gosh, I can't wait.
Interesting. Last point on Gail before we move on to Amy and Max. Amy, Liza, Susan especially, and Corey to a certain extent. We know things about them that not that they don't want us to know, but we know things about them that in a perfect world they wouldn't want the public to know. They've shown us some vulnerabilities. They've shown us some stuff that's not the prettiest. They've been real about it. Gail, excuse me. Gail has, and Andi's on that level too. Actually, the other 5 are. Yeah. Gail, thus far, has only shown us what she wants to show us.
Except for tonight, when we learned that.
That's the start of digging in and getting underneath and seeing the real Gail. And I'm like, okay, now let's talk. Yeah. Now you're not more valuable. It's not a commodity, but now I'm more invested in your story.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, speaking of invested in stories, I can't decide if I'm invested or not in the Amy, Max, Mark, Arthur shitfest.
Here's what we learned. Amy, just as soon as they mentioned her father and that, her father. So the way that she had translated was that, her father was strict, therefore she's overcompensating with Max to not be strict in that way. The way I interpret it is she's let men walk all over her entire life. And it's not that you're overcompensating. It's that, every male relationship that you have is just so negative.
So how do you correct that at this point?
Just understand that, number one, you need to be without a man in your life for a certain amount of time. She just feels like she needs a man, or it's that she needs a man's approval. The fact that you are still doing laundry for your son because you feel without that he wouldn't love you, well, that's on him. He's 20 years old, and if he as a human being says, and it will be upset at you in any sort of way because you can't do the laundry for him, then that's very selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I take it as there's not necessarily a way to fix it per se.
By
Because
the way,
I think
this is coming from someone whose mom still cooks for her, correct?
I live in LA. My mom lives in Alabama. So no, my mom does not still cook for me. My mom cooks for me whenever I come home, and I very much so appreciate it. And I also cook for her whenever I go home. So thank you very much.
I know you did not just throw that much direct shade at April.
Oh, no shade.
Unprovoked.
I have absolutely no shade, and my mom is still cooking. And my mom is still cooking for me whenever I go home. Does she ask me what I want her to make? Because I love my mom's cooking. I have zero shame about that whatsoever.
April, I'm on your side 100%.
Love
Phil,
my mama.
I'm sorry, you need to take like a 5-minute time out or something.
Bye.
Oh,
You're out.
that was just way too far.
Anyway, I think that
I was just illustrating a point.
I think Amy, I think it's part of her personality. I think she seems to me like she has a very gentle soul, if that makes sense. Now, does that mean
gentle because she's been hurt? That's the point.
But no, I think it's her personality too. But it's added to that she's been hurt because, obviously how especially a girl is treated by their dad, not to take anything away from guys, but that affects, a girl's dad is like her dad. So that affects women in a certain way. So if her dad was tougher on her.
Stereotypical daddy issues thing.
It kind of sounds like that a little bit. But I also think it's because of her personality.
Yeah.
But I don't remember who said it, but someone said none of the men in her life respect her. I think that probably had to really hurt her feelings because whenever I heard it, I was like,
Here's the ultimate solution. Liza, Amy, you guys move in together.
Yeah.
Live together for 2 years, whatever. Make it you guys have each other. You guys cook and do laundry and clean for each other, whatever. But, no men. No men for 6 months.
I feel like
I was
Amy
going to say
needs
the exact same time period. 6 months, no dating, no hooking up, no side dude, no nothing, no eHarmony, no Tinder, no shit, and kick Max out of the house. It doesn't matter. Let him live with his frickin' boy Ted or whatever he's, whatever the kid's name was, Will, or his dad. No men for 6 months. Figure out what it's like to be alone. We have all had that time period in our lives where we have needed to be alone. We have all done it, I'm assuming, because we seem like well-adjusted individuals. Lord knows I have. It's the best thing you can do for yourself.
By the way, it's no coincidence that it's actually called well-adjusted, right?
Exactly.
Because there is an adjustment to it.
Exactly.
And listen, it's we've all probably dated those people who jump from one to one to one to one because they can't be alone.
I don't date those people for long.
No, you don't. I don't either. There's so much going on with that. It's like just if you break the cycle, it'll get worse for a couple months, and then it'll get so much better. Be alone.
I think she needs fun in her life. She doesn't seem like she has enough fun because whenever I see her, it's like her face is always pursed and she just always looks stressed. So I just want to see her have more fun, and I think that'll, she needs to get out there, not meet men. Obviously she'll meet men, but in the capacity that I mean, but just have fun with her friends and not be so worried about, what is Arthur going to think, and is Max going to come home with another ticket or another dog? And
no, just do something for you. Just read a book.
Yeah.
Right,
start basic.
Exactly.
Travel the world. Go on a month vacation alone around the world. Go to Europe. Do something like that. Absolutely.
But then she can't necessarily because I think Andy is who said it, or maybe Liza. They were like every time her and Arthur get into a fight, he threatens to take away her credit cards. And so and she even said herself a couple episodes ago that he is, he basically
Okay, so in that regard,
pays for everything for them. So what does she do?
then she's got to take control of her financial, life as well.
Yeah.
That's where this show becomes not fun in a weird way. It's fun to have Liza be like, oh, I don't like to work. Ha ha. We can talk about the dramas of these women. # first world problems.
Right.
That crosses the line when they are literally financially dependent for everything on their men, And that's why I like a Susan and a Jonathan, or even a Gail and a Dr. G, because if Gail divorced him or whatever, she's got the stones to make it work for herself. Cori has the guts to do it herself. Susan is doing it herself. But these other, especially these two, especially Amy and Liza, you look at them and you're like, the threshold between living well and it being in real trouble, that's a real thin line. You're walking that line every day. And with a guy like Arthur, and he's controlling all your finances, and he has your credit cards, it's like...
I mean, no wonder she's stressed. Now that you say that, I'm like, I would be the exact same way.
I don't mean to sound overly critical about this, but adults are living like this? You have more to offer than to do that. It's one thing to get in a codependent relationship. It's one thing to get in a verbally abusive, psychologically abusive, whatever it is. That's one thing, and that's a problem. But the financial side of it is you're capable and smart. None of these women are stupid. They're all well-spoken. They're all smart. Get it on your own.
Well, maybe that's exactly what they're doing. They're on a hit Bravo
that's true.
show.
That's true. They are doing the show, so we got to give them a little credit for that. I'm sure a decent payday for that.
Yeah.
But man, I'm telling you, that's what makes it not fun for me, because I worry about their well-being and how are they going to do if the worst happens.
We are already worried about these people, and we don't even know them.
It's my favorite show.
Here's what I've learned. Between all the televisions that I've seen, I'm talking mostly the fictional stuff, not reality stuff.
We know you watch real TV. We watch trash. We know.
I watch real TV.
Well, on TV, I've seen the war every week. The war stuff, things happen, right? People lose, CEOs of major companies are thrown out, and they're scandals and this and that. Life goes on.
Mm-hmm.
It went on for Jonathan. Look at his life. He whatever he ultimately did, 2.5 years in prison.
He married an awesome chick. He's got a great house.
Yeah. Life's still going for him. Life finds a way.
It
really does.
Thanks, Jeff Goldblum.
It really does.
He really is Dr. Phil tonight. I'm not even kidding.
There's not... we can compare this to very, very poor people around the world in developing countries and say, oh, these people in Seekers and Wives don't have problems relative to them, and they don't. There's problems in the world, and then there's this. But in cases like Jonathan, there are few problems for an everyday average American more serious than losing your career and going to prison as a result of it. I don't care if it was minimum security. I don't care what it was. That is one of the biggest culture shocks you can ever have, save, losing a loved one or something. So for him to come out of it and be stronger, for Susan to be stronger to go through it, and Susan said this, they are just like Amy, they are just like Andi, they are just like Liza. These are the same people in a lot of ways. They're very different. They're all unique, but they're the same people with the same backgrounds in a lot of ways. If one of them can do it, the other ones can figure it out. And Liza and Amy specifically need to take that journey themselves. And you can't just flip a switch and turn it on.
Right.
But if one of them can do it, all of them can do it. Liza's not dumb. Amy's not dumb. They're very capable. They got on this show somehow. They didn't just walk out the door and Bravo said, hey, here's a TV show.
Right.
They had to do legwork to do stuff like this. Man.
Here's the thing. I mean, it seems like, because the workout thing, they did some yoga ahead of time. Do that. Apply. Don't just do yoga just to do yoga because the cool thing. Apply the teachings of yoga are meant to keep you fluid, so you can adapt to change.
I think you're on another level.
Yeah. I'm like, I do yoga to do yoga. No,
I'm not going to give away Bobby's boss, but, have a look at him. He's all about that kind of fluidity and never being too set in your ways and whatever else.
You talking about my boss? That's sweet.
I know your boss.
I have to tell him later.
I think they will all find their own way to do exactly what we want them to do. They'll all go about it in different ways because they're different people, but I think that they're strong and they'll make it.
And none of them are unlikable. When I say, oh, this is my favorite, this is my least favorite, if Andi walked in or if Amy walked in, I wouldn't be like, oh, it's Andi. They're all cool. I like them all. But that's a good thing. None of them are unlikable. None of them are, incapable of doing any of this stuff. It's just a question of which level of the path are they on. And that's when Susan clashes with him, is Susan, God bless her, is further ahead on the path in a lot of ways. And when you're that far ahead, you got to act as the Sherpa and not the cheerleader. Show the way, clear the path. Don't get back behind them and push the other ones forward. You know what I mean? Was that a good metaphor, Sherpa?
Yeah,
That was really
hold
good.
out your hand instead of dragging them. What?
There we go. Anything else from this show, guys? That dog was adorable. Pattern
so
of
cute.
traffic. Fuck that phrase. Let's see what else. Susan does $35 to $50 million per year in her business. That makes her half as valuable as Donald Trump. I don't buy the $8 billion thing he announced today. That is neither here nor there. Let's see. Any other good quotes? I guess we go right to the very end. I will never be a chomper. I don't suck pussy. I would rather have 10 penises in every hole.
I think that's my favorite. 10 penises in every hole.
That was a shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even for me. I've seen a lot, man. That was a shock.
Women don't experiment.
Yeah, not that much, I would say, but
10's a little extreme.
I mean,
No, well, I'm saying, here's the thing. Like,
Well, I don't know,
I
now
think
that
it's
it's
extreme
out
to
there.
say you'd rather take 10 penises in every hole versus just chow box.
well, I don't know. I guess I'll have to debate that.
That's like a personal preference thing, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we need Nicole for this debate.
Is
Yeah,
it like a
she
would
would
you
be-
rather?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Oh, I don't know.
10's
Oh,
probably going to be
gosh.
intimidating, though.
The
That's
fact
thing.
that I would even question it is bad enough. Because I'm like, wait,
At least like one
10 seems intimidating, but
at
this
least
is
one you're
bad.
familiar with, right? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Well,
Well,
it's different when it's not yours.
yeah.
Phil Svitek doing it again.
Real truth.
Maybe I'll have that answer next week. I don't know. Which would you rather? Well, I guess that's an easy question for y'all.
That is
obviously.
not-
I'll think of a vice versa
That
for you
is
next
not.
week.
That is not the question we.
I would rather have 10 vaginas all around me than take a penis anywhere.
I agree with you
give a
100%
BJ?
on that. I'm
Well,
100%.
that's not fair because that's enjoyable for you.
But why can't the opposite be true?
I
Wait a
mean,
minute.
a penis in your eye is enjoyable? No.
Well, then chow box. That was the point.
But I'm saying, no, that's not a good, like, vice versa. Like, oh, I can either take this or this. And it's like, oh, I either get 10 vaginas on me or I have to give a guy a BJ. Of course you take the 10 vaginas. That's not even slightly
Wait, you
unpleasant
would
for
not.
you.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying
for me,
you,
I was
you.
thinking, wait, you would take 10 vaginas rather than giving a blowjob? Okay.
Is it the show that's making us do this, or do we just have an interesting problem here?
Both.
Okay. We got the verbal. Susan rubs off on us. We have a little verbal diarrhea.
Yeah.
All right. I think on that, I'm not even going to give you guys the option for final thoughts because Lord knows I don't even want to hear it. So let's just go straight. You know what? Hey, we got to do predictions real quick. Let's
Gotta
do
do
some predictions. What we think's coming up.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
Okay, this ties in perfectly with kind of what we're talking about because Jonathan, in the preview, he lets himself a little, and he calls Susan a slut just like any other woman, and apparently they're debating about, I mean, how could you not be if you're thinking about taking 10 dicks versus just a vagina?
Doesn't make you a slut.
10 dicks doesn't make you a slut!
It was a metaphor.
For what? Taking 10 dicks in the face?
Yes.
I think that's sexual proactivity. That's sexual. You're taking sexual agency. I don't think the number matters.
No.
Absolutely
Oh
not.
my god.
I think that Jonathan
Jonathan went too far though.
Well,
But that's Jonathan's culture. That's his culture versus what you would consider progressive now or something. And so we would see that and be like, hey, that's a little insensitive. But where he comes from, what he is, that's...
Here's the thing,
Right.
but
How
we
it
have
is.
to understand, like, Susan found it offensive. Like, you kept going.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well-
And Susan finds very little offensive.
Yeah.
But it's from her husband and it's in front of other people. I
Yeah.
think he's definitely the type of person who, obviously gets a few drinks in him, but who doesn't, and maybe says some things he probably shouldn't. So I think that we're going to see a lot
The problem
from
is,
that.
like, you gotta understand, Susan's... right? Not that this is, like, the barometer for him, but this entire show, she's come off as the woman, with a job, for lack of a better term, right? So if she's a woman with a job... and she's professional, the last thing that she wants to be called is a whore, slut, or anything, a prostitute, anything of that nature.
But she clearly doesn't have a problem with talking about sex on TV, so...
Yeah, but it's sex with her
obviously not
husband.
yeah.
Okay,
I think
not
that's
with,
what
like-
he meant. I think he's referring to, like, she was a slut whenever they met, like, with him.
No, but he called her a slut like any other slut.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So therefore, she has no worth.
Oh.
Listen, all I'm going to predict is Jonathan, I have a feeling he's going to come to L.A., you have a few drinks with Phil and I. We're going to talk about...
What am I,
it's
chopped
a dude
liver?
thing. I'm sorry, it's a dude thing. It's a dude
Fine,
thing.
Susan and I will just hang out and have more fun.
That's
Take 10
whatever,
drinks.
man. I don't care.
Yes.
It's a guy
or
thing.
chow box. We don't know which one yet.
Enough of you guys. All right. Remember, guys, as we wrap up, hit
my mom's not
subscribe.
watching this.
Hit subscribe on YouTube and iTunes if you haven't already. Comment in the chat box on YouTube. We check that all week. Podcast1.com. You guys can review us there. Hopefully you review us okay for the show recap and the sex lessons. It's like 2 shows in one. Exactly. And you can tweet us, Instagram us, all that kind of stuff. Phil, give us your real Twitter, not the AfterBuzz one. Where can they find you on Twitter?
You can listen to us in your Mazda as you drive around, thanks to the audio podcast. Follow us here at AfterBuzz TV, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Y'all can find me on Twitter and Instagram at April Whisenhant.
And I'm on Twitter at Bobby DeMuro, on Instagram at Mr. Bobby DeMuro. That's it this week for Secrets and Wives. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Good night.
Bye, Susan.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.